Banggood.com were nice enough to send me out the brand new HappyModel Snapper6. Now it's a 65mm brushless whip running Betaflight 3.30. Now you can buy it in Fly Sky and FR Sky version. This is the FR Sky version. You can also get it in two packages, basic and standard. In the basic package you get one battery and one USB charging cable, and that's it. But since I got the standard version, you get a lot of extras, and the extras you get is a parallel charging board. Its input voltage is a maximum between 7 and 25 volts, where you can use an adapter, or you can use a 2-cell LiPo battery with an XT60 plug. You also have a USB out at 5 volts, and here you can charge up 2.0 plugs or 1.25 plug, but you don't mix and match them. If you're going to plug the batteries in, make sure they're all pH 2.0 or pH 1.25. If you mix and match them, you might blow the board up. It can charge normal LiPo batteries up, 4.20 volt batteries, or your high voltage batteries, and that's the batteries that we have. That's 4.35 volt, and you just use the switches at the side. Also, you can change the amp of what you are charging the battery at, anywhere between 0.2 amps and 0.6 amps. I would highly recommend that you charge the batteries up at 0.2 amp, so your batteries will last a lot longer. You do get a spare set of props, and the prop width is 31mm. You get a prop tool, extra rubber band, because the batteries are held underneath the quadcopter with a rubber band, which I do not like at all, and I'll go through that with you in a minute. And you'll also get plenty of other little screws here. There's about 10 or so screws underneath, and you do get a screwdriver. Right, there's one thing I must say, and this is the most important thing. To bind this quadcopter up for the first time, you need to plug it into Betaflight, because I couldn't bind it up at first in D8 mode. And the reason being is you have to go to the configuration tab, and under the configuration tab you need to change it to FRSky_D for D8 mode and FRSky_X for D16 mode. You've got to plug your quadcopter into Betaflight first before you bind it up. The quadcopter itself, like I said, is a 65mm quadcopter from motor shaft to motor shaft, and the motor shaft width is 0.8mm. The motors themselves are HappyModel 0603 19,000 kV motors, and they are really punchy indeed. I really like them. You've got your prop guards here. They're made of aluminum, and I've heard they do bend in a crash. I haven't flown it outside yet to find that out, and people are just bending them and just putting them back into place once they've been bent. But you can also get replacement frames. Now, I picked this one up out from Banggood, and it was for my UR65. I'm sure you could swap that over, but it would need a little bit of modification. Let's go underneath the quad now. Underneath the quad, what you want to make sure is at the motors, make sure the heat shrink is not touching the bell of the motor. If it is, just move it out the way, just gently, because don't forget these wires are very fragile indeed, and they are plug and play motors, so that is great. If any one of them goes bad, just go and order another one, plug it in, and off you go. The screws, make sure all the screws are nice and tight and snug there. Use blue Loctite if you're going to use Loctite, and a tiny bit. You don't want any of it dripping onto the shaft where the little C clip is. And also underneath you've got your micro USB port where you plug it in to plug it into Betaflight, but you can see mine is somewhat obscured by this little bolt here. Fortunately enough, I can just plug it in and no more. And the other thing is, because of all these screws, I hate plugging the battery in at the bottom. It's really annoying, and I'll show you why. There it is, all plugged in. Yes, and you see what's happening here? That screw is going to mark the battery, and not only that, when I was flying, the quadcopter started flying funny. The battery had moved like that. I think after I've reviewed the quadcopter, I will put it in that other frame that I just showed you there, but I don't like that at all. All these screws are plastic, apart from the other ones that you see are metal, and you get all of them in the bag, so that is good. And on top you've got plastic bolts here that hold the canopy on. I'm sure you can switch the canopy over with the UR65 canopy and the QX65 canopy. They're all the same. You can mix and match them all that you want. You can also see that I've popped the receiver antenna upwards. I don't like it pointing downwards just in case in a crash. But not only that, it's always best to point your receiver antenna upwards anyway. Now the main board on this is a Crazy Bee F3 with BL Heli 5A4-in-1 ESC, and it runs D-Shot 600 at default. It also has an OSD, and you've got RSSI as well. Now let's get on to the camera and VTX. It's a 2-in-1 AIO 25 milliwatt 48 channel VTX with a linear antenna right here, and you've got a 700 TVL camera which is 120 field of view, and it is NTSC. It is adjustable at the side, as you can see, with the screws here at about 30 degrees and a little more. Now let me plug a battery in here, and hopefully we can get a good close-up picture. Hang on. Plug this battery in, and you can see these lights at the back. Now you'll be able to see a blue LED light and a red LED light and a white bit at the top, and just on top of that white bit is a button, and that button is to change the channels and the bands. Now to change the channel, you press the button one time and the red light will move. To change the band, you hold the button for 2 seconds and the blue light will move, and that's that. The only thing left to do now is to bind it up. Plug in the battery, the LED lights will flash. Press and hold the bind button, which is right here. For 2 seconds, the lights will go solid. Hit the bind button on your transmitter, the lights will slowly start to flash, and that is you done. Now all we need to do is go over to your computer and plug it into Betaflight and set everything up. Don't forget to download your USB drivers for your computer, or your computer will not recognize your quadcopter. Now let's connect on up to Betaflight, and the first place we want to go is CLI, and you can type in version just to see what version you are running, and we are running, like I said before, 3.3.0. Now after that you want to type in dump, because we want to save the default configuration of the quadcopter. You want to copy all this and paste it into Notepad, and once you've pasted it into Notepad, save it somewhere safe on your computer. Now it will disconnect and we're going to reconnect. Nothing's been changed here, but if your quadcopter is not flying level, calibrate the accelerometer. Now we'll go on to port. Nothing has been changed here. We'll go into configuration. It's a quad X type, running D-Shot 600. Motor stop is on, and the idle throttle is at 4.5. Over on the left hand side, you can see the PID loop is at 2. I have not changed anything here as well. The only thing that I did change, and what I mentioned before, was if you're binding in D8 mode, you want to change this to FRSky_D, and if you are binding in D18 mode, you want to go to FRSky_X, and that's what you have to change at the beginning. Once you've changed that, hit save and it will reboot. All of this I've just left default. I have not changed a thing here, and also in the power and battery. I haven't changed a thing here, but I might swap it about later on. PID tuning, I've left it as stock. I want to see how it flies out of the box. Now let's go under the receiver tab. You can see my transmitter's working absolutely perfectly. I've got auxiliary switch for my arm button. My auxiliary 1 is for arming and auxiliary 2 for changing my modes. Now let's go on to mode. As soon as I arm the quadcopter, I am automatically in acro mode because nothing else is highlighted. When I switch aux 2 to its second position, I am in angle mode, and when I switch aux 2 to its third position, I am now in air mode. Now back to 0 and I'm back in acro mode. Let's go on into the OSD. Now you can configure all this to whatever you want. Don't forget about that. You can put horizon mode in there if you want, but I don't want horizon mode. Don't forget to click save once you've changed any settings in here. Now let's go on to the OSD, and it is an NTSC camera. Don't forget, I've just left it at automatic. If you don't see it in your goggles, you might want to drag anything that you put up on the screen here in a bit so you can see it on your goggles. And also you want to change the battery capacity to whatever battery size you are using. I'm running 250 milliamp batteries, so I've typed in 250 milliamp, and don't forget to click save. You can change all these settings over here, and also the major one that everybody complains about is the warning of the battery. This is the one that you want to turn off right there. Turn off that warning. Like I said, change everything to your own personal preference. I could just take the snapper off, or I can change the name and just put Merc RC or whatever. All we need to do is take this out and take it for a flight. It's not a very nice day outside, I'm afraid. Let's see what this little thing can do. I'm going to push it to its limits, so enjoy the flight video. Well, what can I say? The Snapper6 is a cracking little brushless quadcopter. It's just lacking a wee bit of punch for me. It feels a bit on the heavy side compared to UR65, but it flies great in acro mode and air mode. You might see a bit of jello in the camera. That's because I crashed and maybe the camera just got loose a little bit, so I'll just mod it and do what I did before and seal it up with a little bit of sugar. I did that on the UR65. I think I will swap frames and put it into a plastic frame to make it just that little bit lighter, but for beginners, overall this is a great quadcopter to buy, and I really enjoyed flying it. As you can see, not only did I fly it in acro mode, but I switched over to air mode as well. Flying time was about, I would say the maximum flight time you get out of it is about near 220. Depends how hard you're pushing it, but I was really pushing it hard out there doing dives, and I don't think the stock batteries are the best. They did kind of start, I felt a slight puff in them after a couple of flights, and I do believe the eSeam QX65 batteries are the best batteries. They've got a lot of punch. I didn't like hold the battery on with the rubber bands because I noticed in flight, like I showed you in the video, the battery would move to the side, then the quadcopter starts flying strange. I just don't like that at all. That's the other reason why I'm going to swap it over to the plastic frame, and when I do that I will do a video on it, so keep an eye on the channel for that, and I'll post it up with a couple of little mods in that. But thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always my friends, happy flying.